Okay, sir. I'm curious about this report that you came out. Well, it's really a reality here in the Philippines that, especially here in the Philippines, I'm experiencing it. The
Mm.
insecurities of property. I mean, can you give me an overview first on how you got
Sure.
with this report? Came up with this report.
Yeah, well, I mean, this whole effort comes out of really a global concern about insecurity of property rights and particularly for housing, but also for small businesses and farmers. It's a global problem. About 10 years ago, a group of us working with the Global Land Alliance started trying to measure this in a way that could be measured across countries, and using a kind of approach based on asking people about their own perceptions of security and doing it in a way that could then be compared across countries and over time. And we linked up with the Gallup World Poll to do the questions because it's a very widespread poll and has a very robust um, sampling methodology. So we've collected data then in two rounds, once in 2019 around the world, and then again in 2023. And it's the 2023 uh, round, well, 2023 and 2024, which we've just published. And that was the report which I think you saw. We just launched a couple weeks ago. We think, I just would say, I mean, we think that it's a kind of a one of those problems that's hiding in plain sight,
Mm-hmm.
because a lot of people are concerned that they might lose their housing or lose their land, but it's not something that you immediately see.
Yeah.
But because of that concern, they may be reluctant to invest in that property. They may be reluctant to expand. They may have difficulty to pass it on to their children. So there's all kinds of sort of concerns, and they may, just have to live with that anxiety day in and day out, which is a real problem.
Okay, so yeah, financial insecurity. I mean, it's a major driver. I mean, everybody goes through it. The financial struggles. I mean, all of us do. I mean, is there any
Yeah.
way they can work around this? Would you know how? Would you?
Well, I think yes, you're right. I think it's tied up on the one hand with opportunity for income, but the side that we're tending to focus on is the affordability and accessibility of housing and land. And as you know, in many places, and especially many urban areas around the world, are experiencing a lack of affordable housing. It can come from a number of reasons of limited supply or um, regulations or the market dynamics, a lack of access to financing. Um, and then I think when rents and prices of land and housing get higher than where average income levels are at, then we see this kind of insecurity and that people are experiencing for financial reasons.
So you mentioned that in the report I saw that policymakers, it's a wake up call all over the world for them. Okay, what did you mean by actually by that, and what should they do? I mean, on their end.
Yeah, well, I think it's again this idea that there's a really serious problem, and it's a global problem. Philippines stands out, but it's hardly the only country with a high degree of concern and insecurity about people losing their home or property. I think there are several things. One is that policymakers can do. It's is to strengthen the existing rights, particularly for people who lack documentation. They're
Yeah.
maybe in the informal sector and regularizing that, so strengthening it legally. I think on the financial side, the supply of affordable housing, the supply of land available for housing, um, potentially programs that help prevent evictions, that may give like temporary temporary respite before eviction to allow renters to find resources to pay the rent. Those are all different kinds of policy actions which could help.
Okay. My last question, sir. You see, by 2030, this trend will continue to go up. Is there any way that this will be altered, or do you see it getting worse, or you know?
Well, unfortunately, the trend that we see in our data from the Prindex survey between 2019 and 2024 is a, a small increase in insecurity, which is the wrong direction of the trend. Um, I'm certainly optimistic that this trend can be changed.
Okay.
And I think that's the call to action we're making to policymakers is to intensify those efforts at strengthening rights, formalizing, legalizing, supporting the supply of land and housing, supporting access. But unfortunately, the place where we only see that progress in a few cases, most places seem to be sort of staying the same or getting slightly worse. So unfortunately, I'm not optimistic that this trend is just going to be changed by 2030.
Okay. All right. Well, let's
I
hope.
wish it would be, and I think it we can certainly do better, and we
Yeah.
can certainly do better as a global community. And I think there are some good reasons to be optimistic about that. When you see some of some governments, especially doing good things around the world, I think a few of those are highlighted in the report.
All right. Is there any, I mean, you have this report come out in 2020. This is the 2024, right? The
Yeah.
Prindex. Will you be coming out with any other reports in the coming year?
We'll be coming out with a kind of special report around women's land rights
Oh,
using this data set, and that will be coming out probably around January.
oh, okay.
And the women's rights kind of a specific area of interest in the development community because women's land rights have tended to be less well recognized and less well protected in some cases than men's. So it's a theme. So that will be coming out hopefully around January. We'd love to maybe send you
Yeah,
a notification or alert about that.
yeah. I'm sure I'll be looking forward to that. Your
Well,
report alone,
fantastic.
this report alone is making me interested. I'm interested in it, so I'm going to look forward to that and other reports you may have, sir.
Well, we really appreciate your interest, and I know this. I've done some work in the Philippines over the course of my career, and I know it's an important issue there in the Philippines. So I hope it's something that can contribute to.
You were saying, sir.
I was just saying that having done worked in the Philippines at an earlier stage, I know these are important issues there, and I hope that this and your reporting and your work can keep the attention on this agenda.
For sure, sir. For sure, that's true. That's why I was really interested because it's actually something I'm going through right now.
Wow,
Well,
great.
even my wife, actually.
Yeah, no,
Um,
this affects everybody.
yeah. So I
Some
thought
way.
it was just us. So it's really well, it's a global thing. So it's gonna help. Like, sir, thank you so much for sparing your time. I mean, I really appreciate it. Really
Well,
talking to
thank
you
you.
about
Thanks
it.
so much for the interest, and I would love to stay in touch, and
Yes.
we'll definitely reach out with our next report.